I will not talk about technical skill because it's all people skill. It's all soft skills.
For sure.
It's all being available, being present when you're there, right? And enjoying where you're at in your career. Everybody wins when you don't have a famine mindset.
That's good.
I'm Forrest Morris, Director of Business Development at Uncle Classic Barbershop, and you are watching High Lvl Barber Talk.
I am so very excited to have Forrest Morris here with us as the business director of Uncle Classic Barbershop, and we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it.
I'm ready.
Go ahead and share with us your journey of becoming a licensed cosmetologist.
Man, as you know, like I said, this is High Lvl Barber Talk. I said, I don't know if I'm allowed to be on here. I'm just an old cosmetologist. So I started out, graduated high school in the year 2000. That seems like a long time ago. I didn't really have a passion that I thought I was going to do hair, but I was always creative. Like I painted, sculpture, a lot of different stuff like that. And I actually equate what we do in hair is more of like sculpture. Instead of, we get told architecture all the time, like all the time. And I'm like, it's kind of sculpture, especially barbering.
Yeah.
Because you leave what you want to keep. And so when I got out of high school, I worked at Lowe's for 12 years until I was 30. In 2011, they got really crazy about some different things that were getting passed and laid about a bunch of people off. And so I was like, I need to go to a recession-proof business. And so I thought to myself, what right now would be a really cool way for me to meet a lot of new people? You know, use the kind of tools that I've already got, which is networking and, you know, retail sales from being at Lowe's. And I decided I would get my license for cosmetology. I went to Paul Mitchell, the school in Murfreesboro.
Shout out to Paul Mitchell.
Yeah. And I almost paid y'all off. Everything's almost clear. Almost. All the checks are clearing. And so after that, I was like, I wanted to do women's hair because I really was like, this is where the money is. Like at one time, that's where it was considered. Like you want to have a bunch of soccer moms and you want to cut their hair and you want to blonde them out, you know, and you charge them $600 or whatever, you know, every little bit of time, and they roll in, you know. But I was like, just the color didn't have any passion to me. I didn't really enjoy that. So I need that instantaneous of like sculpture, cut and the hair hits the ground. I don't want to put it on and then be in the back sweating it out. Like, oh man, I hope this works. You know, I was not as confident in that game. I also had watched a video. It's called Vidal Sassoon, How One Man Changed the World with a Pair of Scissors.
I'm Vidal Sassoon, and if you don't look good, we don't look good.
A multi-million-dollar international corporation.
That and Good Hair was on repeat at my house. Tabitha Salon Takeover.
Okay.
Tabitha Coffee. Hey, how are you? If you ever see this. But yeah, I watch that show all the time.
Not only are you the director of business development, you are an educator for 1821.
Yeah.
Let our audience know, what is your responsibility as an educator, and tell us a little bit about 1821.
Oh yeah. 1821 is a men's hair product group. They started out of Texas. When they were founded, it wasn't very in vogue to have a men's hair product. And so many their whole deal was like, the prohibition against men's hair has finally ended. So they have 18, which is the 18th Amendment, which repealed prohibition, and the 21st Amendment, which brought it back. Which is why they also did them in like these really cool prohibition style jars and like little whiskey looking set up. When you hold that product, it feels substantial.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It feels like
sure.
a nice watch, right? Like it should feel like quality, and it does. And so they charge a little bit more of a quality price, but people don't feel like they're getting any less of the performance.
The prohibition with the males grooming, what was going on at that time?
At that time, it was kind of like guys just got what their wives bought them, or girlfriends, or significant others.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of times you would be, in the shower, and you would have this bottle of, Kerastase or something like that you're not supposed to touch, because that's my expensive stuff. That was their thought process. Let's give something quality and nice for the guys, so that they can look at their wives or girlfriends or significant others. Don't you touch that. That's my stuff.
Right.
That's my stuff. And so they've come out with 4 scents now, and they're still expanding their product line. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the direction that they're headed to.
Now they have pomade, shampoo,
clay, paste, beard oils, and beard balms.
Okay.
And everything is color coded. They just launched a brand new dandruff. I talked to Ashton, who's one of the founders. He was talking about the number 1 selling SKU in all of shampoo is Head and Shoulders. People,
which is mind blowing. But the average person
they
goes
think they have dandruff. That is the best sales technique that Head and Shoulders ever did, is to make everybody believe that dry skin is a medical treatment. You gotta have your black shirt confidence, when you wear your nice black shirts.
Right,
you
not have dead skin.
Yeah, not have all that crust and stuff on you. I love it. I use it in my beard.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not using it on my head. Not much.
Thank you so much for breaking that down for us and telling us the roots of 1821. Now, as an educator, what are your responsibilities?
Well, to kind of be available when they give me a call. Guys, I'm sitting here. I'm ready to go. I need to get on some stage time out here. RJ. Okay, so anyway. I'm just, I go in and teach a lot of product knowledge classes. We've gone in a direction with 1821 where now we can kind of cater the class a little more to the actual barbershop or salon.
Okay.
And they are allowing us to kind of build our own curriculum in that. What a lot of people don't realize is, like, if you go cut for Ruzel, you cut the way Ruzel tells you to cut, and there's no difference, right? So being in a group with where they allow you to kind of create your own cutting system, one, it's beneficial to you, so that you can kind of put into practice how you actually cut. Because there's that old saying that unless you can teach it, you really don't know it. So it's really nice. I love doing it. I kind of got my start because I was doing so many recruitment classes for Uncle. Now, one of the other groups, a guy named Billy Jealousy, said, the smartest thing they did at 1821 was to put you on as an educator. Because now they would never want to get rid of you as an educator because you have the buying power of 7 barbershops behind you. I've got Brentwood, we've got Belmead, we've got Cool Springs, Nolensville, Bellevue, Hendersonville, and Spring Hill.
Being here at Uncle, you were already using the product.
Yeah, I was already using the product. I was already teaching.
Yeah.
It helps them to stay relevant on our shelves.
Right.
Ultimately, my goal at Uncle would be to have an educator for every line that we carry in different shops. Because what you get excited about, whatever you get excited about is what your customer buys.
Yes.
When you're pumped about something and they're like, what in the world is he so excited about with that clay? He's talking like it's the next big thing.
Right.
I better get some. You create a little FOMO.
That's FOMO.
That's my nickname. If you didn't know, that's my nickname. Forrest Morris, FOMO.
Tell our audience what distinguishes Uncle Classic Barbershop from other barbershops in terms of its business model.
The cool part about Uncle, a lot of times I'll have clients go, do they have these in Texas? I don't know.
I asked for those one in Indiana.
The branding is so good. They've done, Amy and her husband have done such a great job being strategic about their partnerships and things like that. I enjoy that we have a lot of autonomy to do whatever we want to do. Now, there are some things that are standard. There's pricing that's standard. This is what we charge. These are the tier levels. We have your Uncle Barber, Senior Barber, and Executive Barber. And that's our tier system. So once you get to that level, you can then decide, I want to take 2 weekends off a month.
Okay.
Like it's like a perk of being a specialized higher up.
I like
along
that.
with extra money.
Right. I love that because that gives the new barbers coming in something to work towards, right?
Yeah. And then you can also decide to edit what services you want to provide.
Right.
So if you don't like doing waxes, maybe you take them off your book.
I'm not gonna do that.
While you're an Uncle Barber, you don't get to pick and choose what services you want.
Right.
My thought process on that is I can't make somebody sit in my seat, but I want to be prepared if anybody sits in my seat.
Right.
Whether they have long hair, textured hair, they got extra hair growing out of their ears. I want to be able to groom them. I want to be able to take care of them. And for me, that is a personal, passion project. Now, at a certain point, I can't just go, hey, I need X number of this color person or that person or this. That tends to feel a little icky to me. But I want to be ready if anybody comes in. Yeah. And you only get that by practicing.
How does Uncle Classic Barbershop maintain consistency in service quality across the multiple locations?
That's something that we just recently had to start really tackling. We have decided that we're going to have a certification process. If you came to work at Uncle while you're in hair school, which we do employ people an hourly rate while they're in hair school to answer phones, sweep floors. But more importantly, what you're doing is getting a timing of the shop, right? You're starting to figure out what that 30-minute appointment slot feels like.
For sure.
So that when you're standing behind the chair, you start going, I don't know why this is taking me so long, right? You can kind of get that build up in your head, that clock. Then you would go in and you would get all of your licensure done, pass all your tests, and then we move you into an apprentice program.
Okay. Are they out of hair school now? Or
yeah, they actually have their license.
Okay.
And it's really, I think we call it the associate program because the apprentice program gets confused.
Okay.
Right? People would be like, apprentice program, so we can come to you without getting our license and no. So we don't officially offer an apprentice program. But yeah, so then they would work with Candace and our management team to be able to strengthen their skills enough, and then we'll release them to Uncle Barber. Usually what happens is they have to be able to turn out a pretty good haircut in the 30 minutes, and they're consistently in that range without any kind of redos or anything like that. We work them around the chairs that are not open so that they've got some time to be able to do that. They'll work with Candace. Candace then has been in charge of all of our certifications. She's the director of internal education. They have to get certified for 4 shave color certification so that they know how to mix the color, how to do the gray coverage, and then they have to be able to do wax.
Purchase your professional equipment and products from Atlanta Barber and Beauty Supply, a well-respected supplier since 1946, providing a complete line of barberware, tools, capes, hair products, and more. Shop with ease at atlantabarber.com and place your order hassle-free. If you have any questions, utilize their customer service line and a representative will assist you. I've been using Atlanta Barber and Beauty Supply for years. I love their wide selection, affordability, and quick delivery. If you are in the Atlanta area, do not hesitate to visit them in person. You will not be disappointed. Located 1376 Collier Road, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so go ahead and explain to our audience your role as the Director of Business Development.
Okay, so this is a position that was owned by one person, and it was like really 3 different jobs all squished in. I believe that person, I don't know that she does hair anymore, but she ended up leaving the company, and I kind of was like talking to Amy. I actually interviewed at this little Moe's over here, and when we showed up, I had all these different hair products in a box. And
during your interview?
During my interview for director of education at the time.
Okay, for right? Uncle Classic.
For Uncle Classic Barbershop, yes. And so the girl had left, and she was then looking for someone to be the operations manager because she knew that role was so huge. It had a director of internal education, a director of recruitment, basically, is the development, and then you had that person doing payroll and all of the operation stuff. You know, it was a whole role. It was way too much. And that is the great foresight that Amy has, is that she can go, ooh, you know, and we can develop a role if need be.
She's open to change.
Completely. In fact, way more than probably I am. But yeah, so I ended up kind of developing this position. I started out as director of education, and I was not sure that I had the temperament to completely deal with one-on-one employees. Like, I wanted it more than they did. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I recall an opportunity that one of our barbers had. He had messed up a haircut for like the 3rd time. And he was still in his like intro level. Okay. And I talked to Amy the next day. She said, this person had a haircut redo. And I said, I know, I didn't sleep. And she goes, do you think he missed any sleep? What? You know, like I was like, I don't think he did miss any sleep. She was like, you're never going to be able to train him to care as much as you care about his haircuts. And so I was like, oh. And eventually it kind of was where I felt like the most excited was when I was able to go, you know, spread the Uncle Gospel out, you know, and talk about the Uncle Gospel. Join the fams. I look at my job as like a friend maker. Like my job is to say yes to the good stuff and kind of go, maybe that's not ready yet. Okay. You know, just water all the plants and see what ones grow. Kind of, that's how I look at my job. When is the opportunity to water something? If you water it now, it'll be up in 3 weeks. Are you ready in 3 weeks to take that over? Or are you not? So it's kind of strategic watering. So when we go to schools, it's like, okay, are we ready for that school? Do they miss us? Have we been too much? Or when we reach out to product companies, the minute 7 barbershops reaches out to a product company, if they're any kind of smart, they're going to start bombarding us with samples. For sure. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with all these samples. Inevitably, it's going to cause division in your teams. This is something as a new product can cause so much stuff. Because
so even that has to be prepped, like to be ready for when a company sends you samples.
Yeah, and most of the companies don't understand that. If I bring in, just say, we don't carry Suavecito. I technically like Suavecito. I have a few of my clients who use Suavecito. If I don't we don't carry it after we brought in the samples and tried it, then the 2 people who love Suavecito, all their clients try it, and then they're like, well, why didn't we ever carry that? I hate that we didn't carry Suavecito. And I go, well, it's kind of a committee thing. You know, like that's how we make decisions. It's kind of committee-wise.
Because each location has to have the same products?
Not necessarily. We have the same family of products. 1821, we have Layrite, we have Billy Jealousy, we have Ruzel, we have Fairy Tales for like kids stuff. We have Kevin Murphy. We use Cune Color. And we have St. James shaving products. And we may or may not be in the market for new shaving stuff, you know. And that's what's really, really cool about us is we can change a service. Like at the moment, we don't do perms. We don't do Beijing. We don't do any essential like spray stuff.
The fiber, like
we don't do the fibers. Yet I can't say that we never would. We technically don't have a pricing for braiding yet.
Yes, right.
It could happen. Like, I'm not opposed to anything.
Do those decisions go through you?
So it would be the executive leadership team, which is Amy. Of course, she owns the company. She would have to front the money to pay for all of the added expenses and to make sure that we could do it competently and not embarrassing ourselves. Like, like if you're going to roll something out, you would be like, well, we don't know really how to do this, but we got some stuff.
Exactly.
And then it would be Chrissy, our operations manager, and Candace, our director of internal education.
Okay.
So Candace kind of does what I had been messing around with before.
Okay.
Chrissy is the operations arm of that original setup. She's payroll. She's the most organized person. She's so good. Being the creative, that's my role. It's like kind of looking at something when we come up with a decision as a group, like, do we want to do perms? I pretty much constructively shoot holes in it. Like, what can we do? What do we need? What do we that? What do we that? How is this? Would this work? Would this not work?
Okay.
And really think that's how I got this position. Is I would bring problems to Amy, and I would say, we have a problem with this. And I would say, but here's the solution.
Here's the solution.
Instead of just bring the problem and say, here's the problem, this sucks, this is bad. Be like, hey, I not only identify the problem, but I think this could work and we could use this. And she would always be like, how can I help you fix it? Her theme is, how can I help you be successful?
I love that.
Yeah, once she trusts you to be available, then it's like, how can I help you be successful? Everybody wins when you don't have a famine mindset.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you can name 2 to 3 skills that are necessary as a business director.
It's going to be 6. That's why you said 2
6.
to 3.
Go ahead, let it
That's what it starts with me. It goes, 2, and then it's like I'm talking about birds flying through the sky. I'll try not to use any similes or metaphors. It's really important to be available, right? Okay. I will not talk about technical skill because it's all people skill. It's all soft skills.
For sure.
It's all being available, being present when you're there, right? And enjoying where you're at in your career at any spot. When you're in your learning phase, it's kind of like a Buddhist thought, right? Like to be present and enjoy the learning, right? You've got to be open to learn. You've got to be available to learn. And you've got to be present when you're learning.